the air. This campaign is not about Corey Lewandowski or Roger Stone or Paul Manafort or Alex Jones. This campaign is about our last best chance to save the country. The Republican establishment's doing everything possible to undermine the candidacy of Donald Trump. They don't respect the democratic process. Attention, Paul Ryan, we had the primaries. You lost. Mitch McConnell, you lost. The party has selected its nominee, at least on paper, and in reality, very shortly. What the Republicans don't understand is that Donald J. Trump and the Trump revolution is bigger than the Republican Party, reaches beyond the Republican Party. In many places, I think the campaign was hamstrung by dual authorities and countermanded orders. But I don't think it's productive to go into a long discussion of everything that was wrong with the campaign. I think the campaign has achieved historic things under the leadership of Donald Trump. And you certainly saw in the New York, Indiana, California, Pennsylvania, California primaries, a smoother running political operation. There's no question the Trump camp is playing catch-up ball. They need a communications director. They need additional field staff. They need additional party professionals. But now I think the deck is cleared to do that and to build a smaller, leaner, more guerrilla-oriented campaign that is still large enough and fast enough to compete with the well-oiled Clinton machine, which, as you know, is a massive, massive biography, massive political machine.
Absolutely. I know you've been doing research on their biography, though, and boy, is it a nightmare. Roger Stone, I totally agree. We should move on from Lewandowski. I have nothing against Lewandowski, other than every time I saw major mistakes being made and him up there bragging about things on TV, it seemed to be about Lewandowski, though every time we're talking about Trump with you on, you'll never even talk about yourself. So, I mean, certainly he was putting himself, I think, in many cases, in front of the campaign. I think he was a bit entitled, and I'm sad to see that happen. But it's good news that he's gone now, obviously. Now, I made a prediction that's coming true. It wasn't hard to predict, but obviously we want Trump to be the presumptive nominee. And we want to just go ahead and put that to bed, as we did months ago, and say, okay, he's won these states. He's the guy. The problem is that I know how these Republicans work. They're playing possum, these rhinos, Paul Ryan and others. And I said, wait till they get right up, closer to Cleveland. They're going to come and try to defect again and, shoot Trump down and pull some scam. They know they're losing the battle by being out in the open because you put Stop the Steal out, millions coming to Cleveland. But I said, we got to come to Cleveland. We got to be there. I expect some more shenanigans, some more fiascos, some more hanky-panky, because these losers think they're God and think they can step in front of the Trump bullet train. Now, as you know, it comes out, they've got a stealth campaign going to try to steal the delegates again and pull something. Now, obviously, it's going to be ill-fated, but it shows how incredibly piranha-like and arrogant and disconnected they are that they're doing this. So let me ask you, what is your view on this? What do we do to counteract it?
Well, Alex, I think you're absolutely right. I think that there's trouble afoot inside the convention hall as well as outside the convention hall. So let's talk about both. I still think in the end, Manafort is the master of campaign rules and credentials and the platform. He's a superb vote counter. And whether or not this little insurrection, which the media themselves reports is being carried forward by dozens of delegates, not hundreds, not thousands, but dozens, I think it is ill-fated. I don't think it's going anywhere, but it is incumbent on the Trump campaign keep a very close eye on it to make sure that you don't get a runaway convention. The idea that you would pass a conscience clause of the to the Rules Committee that would allow delegates to opt out of their party rules-based commitment to vote for Trump on the basis of the democratic process and the way the people voted is outrageous. You, in essence, would be saying to the Republican primary voters, your views don't matter. We don't care what you think. You voted for no reason. You wasted your vote.
It says our conscience trumps your conscience.
It's outrageous, and it's arrogant, frankly. It is the arrogance of the ruling class of the Republican Party. Meanwhile,
it's the creme de la creme of arrogance. It's the cream of the cream.
It really is. Meanwhile, in a story that was really broken here on InfoWars before anyone, the city of Cleveland seeks to gag and destroy the First Amendment rights of those who wish to go to Cleveland to demonstrate in favor and protest these
shenanigans. Come hell or high water, I'm coming. Come hell or high water, and everybody needs to be there.
Well, I'm going to be there as well, but I can now report two things. One, that the city is insisting that that all demonstrators, left, right, middle, Black Lives Matter, Infowars.com followers, Trump supporters, Citizen for Trump members, MoveOn.org will all be in one area, unsegmented. There will be one microphone. The city will control that microphone, and you can apply if you wish to speak. They have already given permission to speak to a number of extraneous groups that don't matter.
Yeah, they're going to fill it with like underbenchers that don't even matter to their own people. That is, oh my God.
And they won't. That's a
control government channel.
Yeah, they will not let us have our own rally. They will not let us have our own march. They actually gave the rally site that we had applied for to the Westboro Baptist Church. They don't seem to have much trouble.
Around and scream anti-gay stuff and then claim they support Trump.
Yeah, exactly. Now, look, let's be very clear. The city of Cleveland is a Democratic machine stronghold. Cuyahoga County is a Democratic machine stronghold. This is a recipe for violence. This is a plan to achieve violence. The whole point of our people applying for a permit would be so that we were engaged in a lawful activity and that the local police would defend us.
On the 26th of April, 1986, the worst nuclear power plant disaster in history occurred at the Chernobyl plant in the Ukraine. Chernobyl was labeled as a level 7, the maximum classification on the International Nuclear Event Scale.
At the core of the blown-out reactor, and buried under 14 meters of rubble, the graphite surrounding the nuclear fuel burns and melts the uranium. The radioactive fallout is going to be 100 times greater than the combined power of the 2 atomic bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Years later, on the 11th of March, 2011, the Fukushima meltdown reawakened public awareness regarding the ever-present dangers of nuclear power.
So we're about 270, 276. So we're maxing out around 280 or so. And remember, 30 is what's normal for this location. Now they're disputing that this isn't the cesium-137. They're saying this is radium and other things that naturally occur in the environment. Whatever it is abnormally high.
With the recent earthquake activity stirring in the Ring of Fire, the Diablo Canyon power plant located near Avila Beach in San Luis Obispo, resting near not 1 but 4 fault lines, is a clear and present danger. The second fault, known as the Hosgri Fault, was only discovered after the plant's completion. In November of 1927, the Hosgri Fault generated a 7.1 magnitude earthquake 10 miles offshore. A 2013 document filed by former Nuclear Regulatory Commission Inspector Michael Peck insisted on closing down Diablo until the commission determined whether the plant's equipment could survive higher seismic stress levels. In 1981, Diablo was incorrectly retrofitted when employees failed to reverse the plans for the twin reactors. Regardless, the Nuclear Regulation Commission approved the safety of Diablo's monstrosity of incompetence. Diablo has a seismic monitoring and safety system ready to shut it down immediately in the event of significant ground motion.
The motion is detected by sensors in the ground and provides 3-dimensional data on seismic conditions.
But that won't stop the potential damage unleashed by the fuel rods as witnessed during the Fukushima debacle. Of course, Pacific Gas and Electric would like you to believe this ticking time bomb is good for jobs, energy consumption of its 2 million recipients, and the way forward as old man coal is aggressively shut down.
So if somebody wants to build a coal-powered plant, they can. It's just that it will bankrupt them because they're going to be charged a huge sum for all that greenhouse gas that's being emitted.
But the voices opposed are many. After President Richard Nixon called for construction of 1,000 nuclear plants by the year 2000, 1,900 anti-nuclear movement protesters were arrested in 1981 during a 10-day civil disobedience blockade of the Diablo Canyon power plant.
With the main gate cleared and the last blockader in jail, Pacific Gas and Electric made final preparations to start the reactor. But then, at the last moment, PG&E publicly admitted a grave mistake. There are two reactors at Diablo, mirror images of each other. The blueprints for Units 1 and 2 had gotten mixed up, and the earthquake supports for the cooling pipes, the same cooling system designed to prevent a meltdown, had been installed backwards. It was the first of hundreds of mistakes discovered later, all made on the $2.5 billion structure described by the Nuclear Regulatory Commission as the most highly analyzed building in the world.
Today, most locals and tourists are completely unaware of the passion Californians vented against the nuclear energy mafia just 33 years ago.
Fukushima resting right over those mountains.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Experts would have us just bury our heads in the sand, but some are already preparing for the inevitability of America's Fukushima.
If Diablo blows, nobody's staying around to use it. I've actually got backpacks in my car, you know, for heading out. Preparedness, I think, is very important.
Yeah.
But the whole idea that they're going to sound the sirens and we're all going to head north, it just won't work.
Yeah.
Northeast. So
Yeah.
I wish it wasn't there. But it is, and maybe they'll deactivate it, and that would be fine with me.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think it's great how the citizens on our own can be prepared, yet, you know, we're asking our government basically to take care of us, and they're, you know, telling us to look the other way. Yeah. And how can you do that when all of this is at risk?
Well, it always comes in the limelight once there's an earthquake. Mm-hmm. So the Napa earthquake has made everybody kind of think about it again. You know, that a good earthquake would cause the plant to blow, and would want to get out of here. When
you look around and you see all of this beauty, all these families, all these people, how does that make you feel knowing that they're okay with a potential Fukushima situation here in America?
We know we couldn't all get out. You know, they say head north, head east, northeast once the plant warns us. But you know that you couldn't do that. The freeway would be jammed. That's why, you know we could go across the Santa Maria River bed and head south. I raised 7 children in this town, and I taught them all to run home no matter what their school told them, because we were going to hop in the car and get out somehow. They weren't going to wait for school buses. But yeah, it's a big problem. They say we provide 20% of California's power at that plant, but I think they named it Diablo for a reason.
As the purported Chinese curse goes, may you live in interesting times. For INFOWARS.com, I'm John Baum.
Okay, leftists, let's play your game. MP Joe Cox was murdered by a violent, crazy, anti-EU right-wing extremist. That means all Conservatives and Brexit voters should be guilt-tripped into accepting responsibility for Joe Cox's death. That means voting to leave the EU would be disgracing Joe Cox's memory and siding with the murderer. So what about Michael Sandford, the British citizen who tried to assassinate Donald Trump? Is everyone who screamed about Donald Trump being a fascist, a Nazi, and literally Hitler responsible for the assassination attempt? Are the 600,000 Brits who signed a petition to ban Trump from entering the UK to blame for radicalising the would-be assassin? Are the innumerable left-wing pro-EU politicians who labelled Trump a threat to democracy culpable for the crime? Is it time to tone down the anti-Trump rhetoric? So what about Omar Mateen, the gay nightclub gunman? He was a registered Democrat, and he supported Hillary Clinton. Does that make Hillary Clinton responsible for Omar Mateen's rampage? Does that mean Hillary Clinton should suspend her campaign out of respect for the Orlando victims? Does that mean Hillary Clinton should be repeatedly asked for the next 3 weeks if she disavows Omar Mateen?
Will you unequivocally condemn David Duke?
And second, how do you feel about the David Duke quasi-endorsement?
So what about James Wesley Howell, the man caught with guns and explosives on his way to a gay pride parade in LA. He was a Bernie Sanders supporter. Does that make Bernie Sanders responsible for Howell's plot? Does that mean Bernie Sanders should suspend his campaign in order to prevent other Bernie supporters from becoming radicalized? Does that mean Bernie Sanders should be repeated